Welcome friends to another r/entitled parents video. As always, if you enjoy this video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And our first story of the day is by Striker120V, entitled Mother Wanted to Move In With Us, and Then I Left. This took place in the summer of 2013. My girlfriend at the time was living in her own place, and her mom, entitled Mother, wanted to move back from a 4.5-hour drive away. We had gone down and grabbed entitled Mother and her dog, who was a yippy kind of dog. He barked every morning that I got up to get ready for work. She said that she was going to sleep in the living room with her dog on her lap until her husband could get their place. The story went that he had it in the works with a renter and was just waiting for some paperwork. After a week, entitled Mother found out her husband had been lying about the new house and said she would move in with us. Reluctantly, I agreed. After learning they all owed money to a truck rental place, they asked me to get one. Again, reluctantly, I agreed. The truck rental was for a one trip from her place back home. Remember this. I recruited a buddy and brother to help move her back to our place. It wouldn't have been so bad had it not been for the 4.5-hour drive into winding roads with a cliffside to one side. I drove my car down to the rental place, and then they drove it to her old place as I drove the truck. We went early to have as much daylight as possible. Well, when we arrived, we found that our place was in complete disarray. As we moved things, we found that entitled Mother's dog and other animals had taken dumps everywhere. We found boxes that were filled with crap, literal boxes of poop, that she for some reason wanted to keep. After working for 4 hours, we needed to take a break. Mind you, I was the only professional mover, as I had 2 years of furniture delivery at the time. Entitled Mother complained the entire time that we were resting that we weren't moving fast enough. After we finally packed the truck as much as we could, I found that my car's battery had been drained due to someone leaving the lights on. At that point, it was too late to get a battery or jump cables from anywhere, and the closest Walmart was an hour drive in the opposite direction that we had to go. So I had to call off work for the next day for that. On top of that, we left around 3 or 4 a.m. We had to put my brother and buddy in the back of the truck for the excruciating drive back, since there was no way I was leaving them alone for essentially a whole day by themselves in a highly wooded area and a house filled with literal crap with nothing to sleep on. About 15 to 20 minutes left in the trip, we had to stop to get gas. And after the refuel, the battery on the truck had died. We called the company for them to come jump it. When opening the back of the truck to check on the guys, a statue fell out of the back of the truck and shattered. Entitled Mother lost her mind and told the two of them to just start walking home. They didn't even care and started their walk back. Luckily, my dad was able to come get them since it wasn't that far away. At this point, I was sleep deprived from various things on top of having worked the day before we left and having left early the previous day for the move. Exhausted and frustrated, I just wanted to sleep when I got home before unloading the truck. Upon returning home, I got a whole hour in before entitled Mother demanded we start to unpack the truck. After hours of demands, I had enough and left and walked to my dad's. Girlfriend and entitled Mother both tried calling me for hours, but I had my phone off. When they finally got a hold of me, I told them that we could go grab my car and come back home, but entitled Mother said she needed to get more stuff. The truck rental company only had us with one trip from her town to ours, but we added enough miles to add $300 plus to the order. My friend and brother were out. I wasn't going to ask them to do anything after experiencing that. Instead, entitled Mother's nephew hopped on to help. We went down, grabbed more stuff, and entitled Mother said she needed to get back to do a pool tournament. We jumped my car, she drove it back, and a few hours later, we left too. Girlfriend, nephew, and us, with me having had about 3 hours total sleep in the last 3 or 4 days. Girlfriend didn't drive and decided to sleep while we drove back. Nephew helped keep me awake so we didn't go off the cliffside. After countless hours, I was fed up. I emptied the truck and took it to our town's rental place. Girlfriend and I had fought more than usual that night, and I said that I needed to go on a walk to cool off because I didn't want to break anything. Girlfriend said that if I left, she was locking the door. I didn't care, I just needed to get my head clear. She did lock the door, and I realized she had my car keys. I threatened to call the cops, and she didn't believe me. So I called the cops. When they showed up, she claimed that the car was hers. They asked for proof, and she pulled out the registration, which was in my name, including the insurance. She started screaming that she helped pay for the car, which made it hers. Entitled Mother stepped outside and tried to back her up. The police politely told them that they couldn't do anything and that the car was mine and to please hand over the keys. The cops left, and after a few threatening words from entitled mother and girlfriend, I left and never looked back. Now I'm married to someone who has stable parents and an unconditional love for me, and we're about to move into our own house after years of building each other. The packing and moving reminded me of this effed up time of my life, and I figured here would be a great place for me to tell the story. At what point here in the story do you think it crosses the line? Telling you to rent the truck for her, saying that she would move in with you, the 4.5 hours of winding roads, animal poop in boxes, and constant complaining? Or did it still not cross the line yet? Like, at what point do you just give up and say, this is too much? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by NTR VRT DCFLVR. Sister-in-law and mother-in-law want us as their insurance. I previously posted about my in-laws creating stories and gossips about us. We found out that my husband's sister did it too. She cried to her parents, creating this lie that I told her that she was not welcome in my home, and cried to other relatives saying his brother doesn't love her. So a relative contacted my husband to scold him for his cold-heartedness. This is a 22-year-old girl. Now they're acting as if nothing happened, and we're keeping as much distance as we can, only interacting with them if absolutely necessary. A family friend told us though that they told them they needed to get on good terms with my husband so that we would raise and provide for his sister when the time comes. The sister has no medical conditions or any abnormalities, just a normal spoiled kid who refuses to leave their parents' home so that she doesn't have to work. She's 22 in the second year of high school, just like mother-in-law who refuses to work and demands others to pay for her bills. My husband tried to reach out and help his sister get her life together so many times. Talked to her, encouraged her, supported her, and each time she bid back by making him seem like the bad guy. And he was accused of stealing the role of his parents. So he's done. We're done. I'm honestly so repulsed by their laziness, entitledness, and manipulation. The sister acts like this 12-year-old kid and tries to please everyone around her, acting like this good kid, when in fact she has addictions that'll make a devil blush. She told me one night when she had a few drinks. What's worse is that people fall for it. Like, really? They don't find it weird that a 22-year-old girl still acts like a 12-year-old goody two-shoes? No, they think they can manipulate or guilt trip us into providing for them in the future, like some insurance provider, even after they brag about the millions in their bank account. But they're so much in debt and others are paying for their bills out of pity. And yet they refuse to take from their bank account, Infuriating. I'm just glad my husband fell far from the tree. We're planning to move as far as we can from them. Yeah, to be fair, if people were like that, money grubbing, gold digging, and just saw you as some kind of fallback plan to pay for their bills and their expenses and just lift them up in life, I'd try and cut them off and move far away too. There's definitely greener pastures elsewhere. Our next story is by Carolyn Martin. Mom taking credit for my athletic accomplishments. I shoot Olympic-style air rifle on my high school club team, and my mom has been overly critical about everything. I improve slower than all of my teammates, so while my teammates were shooting higher scores, mine were a bit lower than theirs. I'm okay with that because for me, it's not a competition against them, but every competition, I strive to break some sort of record for myself. But I also have really bad self-esteem issues because I've had to watch my friends be where I really want to be. My mom is one of those high school athlete failures. She partied hard in high school and blew any chances she had of playing college volleyball, and now I think she's projecting onto me. I put a lot of work into my sport. I go to every practice and shoot for hours. I've never touched drugs or taken a sip of alcohol. I like to think I'm a very disciplined athlete. Another important thing to know is that precision shooting is a very expensive sport. My dad's bought all of the gear for me. I've paid a few expenses here and there, but I use all of my equipment to the fullest extent, so it's not a waste of his time and money. My mom, on the other hand, has contributed very little to my growth as an athlete, aside from driving me to and from school before I got my license, but ever since I got it, I've been nearly self-sufficient in that area, except for the occasional gas refill. So to the main point, on multiple occasions, my mom's made snotty comments about scores to my face. Recently, she told me that I should have shot 3 more 10s in a qualifying match so I could be going to nationals with my team. When I explained to her that I did the best I could, I was adjusting to a completely different brand of gun as I'd saved enough to split the cost with my dad, and a new suit which was very stiff. She told me that I should have tried harder and that I let my team down because now we aren't going to nationals. There's 4 on a team and we have ABC teams. One of my teammates was selected to go as an individual, and she only shot 2 or 3 points higher than me, and I pointed that out to her, and she repeated that I should have just shot higher. Then she said the following: "Next year is going to be our year. I just know it." I politely said that it's going to be my year, not hers, and she got mad at me because she paid for all my stuff. I told her that she should stand behind the gun and see how easy it is to shoot, as well as she's telling me to. And of course, I got in trouble for that as well. This isn't even the first time she's referenced my accomplishments in match as we or our. I once placed 6th with a qualifying score of 585, and she made comments like, "We did it! We're doing great! We need to celebrate our accomplishment." And when I corrected her saying that it was me who shot the match, so it's my accomplishment, not hers, she played the victim like she always does. To wrap up, my mom has always made negative and damaging comments about everything in my life. It's gotten so bad that my friends just avoid her. I don't know if I'm overreacting or if she's really entitled, but I hope you all enjoy the post anyway. I definitely get the sense that there's a bit of entitlement here going on. When you know you're doing the best you can, and you get told these things like, "Well, you should have shot higher. Next time we'll do better." And they're not putting in any work, they're not trying to teach you, they're not trying to train with you. It's definitely like they're still trying to live in their glory days, kind of through OP. And whether they realize it or not, it's leading them to put lofty expectations and just kind of disregarding how OP feels and what OP does. It might be a whole different thing beyond just entitlement. And our final story of the day is by Harry_Wang098300. "He's a little kid, let us cut the line." We, around 40 rising 9th graders, went on a graduation trip together to a really nice resort in China a few weeks ago. We were all 13 or 14, and there were only like 5 parents with us. Well, we were waiting in line, and with 40 people, it was a long one, when entitled grandma came over to us. In China, though I'm not Chinese, I've learned that almost 90% of Chinese grandmas are entitled grandmas, and they act like their grandkids are more precious than everyone else's. Anyways, we were waiting in front of that yellow line for the train when entitled grandma approaches me. I was standing in the front of the line and asked, "Hello, can you let me get to the front of the line? My grandson's very tired and would like to have a rest sooner." The grandson seemed to be about 8, and the station was quite small, and it's only a 5-minute walk from the entrance to the station, if you don't count in the time it takes to check in. I say, "Sorry ma'am, but I'm quite tired too. There's another gate right there, about 15 meters away, and there's only 5 people there, and we've been waiting here for the past 10 minutes, so..." I had slept for 4 hours the past night after watching the Czech-England game because I'm an England fan, and also the train station was an hour away from my house. The entitled grandma says, "No, this gate is the closest to our seat and my baby needs to sleep. He has only slept for 7 hours last night. 7 hours!" The child says, "Grandma, we could just go..." And she says to the child, "Oh, stop talking, sweetheart. I'm just making sure you get enough sleep on the train." The child says, "But I don't even want to sleep." The grandma, ignoring child and pointing towards me, says, "You and your friends can go later. You're all adults now, right?" I say, "No, ma'am. We're only 14. She says, "Don't lie to me, young man. I have a 14-year-old granddaughter and she's much shorter than the lot of you and much flatter, as in chest size, than them," points towards a group of girls who were part of the trip. I'm a bit speechless at the moment because I don't really know what to say right now. My mates kind of back out and child, embarrassed, backed away. Those girls did take puberty quite early, but saying this was a bit too off, I think. I say, "Ma'am, if that's the case, then your granddaughter's underdeveloping. I'm 14 and so The grandma says, "Shut up. We'll stand in front of you no matter what you say." The grandma proceeds to stand in front of the safety precaution line and grabs her little kid with her. The kid was almost on the edge of the platform. About a minute later, a safety enforcer comes over and asks all of us to back up, so grandma would be behind the line. Despite about 6 of us telling the man what had happened, he said that she's just an old lady carrying a small kid and we should be more understanding as adults. When the train arrives, there was a guy who was checking our tickets at the gate, and entitled grandma didn't have one. She proceeds to frame me for taking her ticket, and when I proved the ticket I was holding was mine, entitled grandma was taken away. Not before spitting on my shoe. Child apologized and ran away. Thank God I was wearing a pair of flat-soled boots, so the spit was only on the leather of the shoe, and a quick rinse got it off. I didn't hear of the entitled grandmother again, but I was sure she ruined her grandson's vacation. with the very last revelation that they didn't even have a ticket, I don't know what her game plan here was. Was she hoping that because she was in front of the line and she's old and she has a kid, maybe they'd just let her on? All I know is this grandma definitely fits the bill as entitled. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.